This is Recruitment Agency Ignition with Andy Whitehead. Helping you build your recruitment employment business fast. Using digital and automation and one-to-many systems, tools, and inbound strategies.
You there, Johnny?
Hey.
Pretty epic. So let's do this then. First of all, let's have a little bit of context around who you are. Okay. What I mean by that is just give everybody your 1 minute story of who Johnny is, what you've been doing, etc. So who you are. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go through what you've done. So since joining the inner circle. And then from there, we're going to go through a set of steps in terms of what we do next, okay?
Okay, cool. So I work in the further education sector in the UK, which is, it's not higher education, which is universities, and it's not schools, but it's kind of like vocational colleges and training providers, especially for kids doing apprenticeships. So this recruitment business is to help UK training providers source and retain the top 15% of candidates within the further education sector. So when I came to you, Andy, before Christmas, I was a blank piece of paper, basically. This was a new startup, new niche, new everything. So yeah. Andy basically told me what to do, and I had a 90-day sprint, which ended just before Christmas, if I remember. Yeah. And at the time, I thought that's quite a good time for the 90-day, the first 90 days to finish. Because it gave me a target. I've got to do it by Christmas, because Christmas, if I don't do it by Christmas, I'm just going to lose all momentum. Yeah. So anyway, it kind of worked out well that time-wise. So I set off. I did all the normal things, like I've heard you now say 20 times, but I hadn't heard it as much back then. You do your LinkedIn profile, you do your website. Got a VA. We started the first RRR campaign, which ran and finished before Christmas. Again, the usual things. I did my CAS. I'll come back to that. I did my CAS. I looked into. I went with. I'm big. I said to you right back at the beginning, Andy. I'm really into the automation. That's the bit that excites me. I set it up. I do it once or twice, and then it just runs in the background.
So you had your CAS then. You thought it was a little bit too meaty to start with. Love that, by the way. You've identified that. So you've created a more of a lead bait version, a 90-second consumable version.
Yeah.
And yeah, you've had that created. And what else?
And that's just it. I'm now, as a result of that, I'm getting a minimum of 1 response back a day. And when I speak to them, I'm easily converting 50% of them. They're easily turning it. It's more a case now of getting candidates in to fill this bank of vacancies that I've got now. I've gone from, at Christmas, I had any work really sat on, and now the 5th or 6th of March, whatever it is, I've got a whole business now. I can, I don't want to turn it off, but I can turn it off now and just work solely on these vacancies.
Good. So this is what we want to do. We want to make sure that you continue with the upward spike, okay? We want to make sure that is clear, it's measurable, and it's something that we know is not going to fall back into, potentially go backwards, because you're moving on to the next step. So, i.e., what we've done keeps running, but now we're adding another layer. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah. So if you think about what we've done so far, so if we say, let's say this is Johnny Farrington 1. It's what you've done so far, okay? What we're going to do, and say this is our timeline. This is us getting paid. This is our timeline, okay? What we want to do next is we want to add a second layer now, Johnny, which be something like this. This would be Johnny Farrington 2. But what will really happen is, what we've done so far, this will keep running. Johnny Farrington 1 will keep running in the background. But we're going to add a second layer to it. And then we're going to add a third layer to it, etc. Does that make sense? So we build up this beast that builds on top of itself over and over again. And one of the things that I've seen with the businesses that have that fall here, is they take their eye off the ball about what they've done previously. that make sense? So this drop here, the red.
Yes, that I can relate to that a lot. That's what I'm worried about. That's why I'm desperate to know what the next thing is to do.
Yeah. So if we go back to what we're about to share with you guys, so on here. So we've got our different phases, and also we've got some key fundamentals. So where you are now, we need to add a tactical lead generation or pipeline filler or authority builder, something to get an actual result for you, if that makes sense, and actual, something we can measure in terms of you getting paid. However, what we need to also do is make sure we've got control of that process. So at the minute you're doing the doing, you've got a cool VA. But the next step is ensuring we're now taking a project view of our business, and we're taking a view of your role in the business, something that I talk about over and over again. So when we got our growth phases in the business, and it's something that I've spoken about a few times. So you've joined us as you're a business owner, but essentially it's a job, isn't it, when you come to us? I know it's a new business, but you're doing the doing. Does that make sense? Yeah. The next step is, which you've done very well, is we then break it down into a set of technical steps. So, right, I want to be earning 12K a month from scratch. I need to get X amount of leads, X amount of appointments. To do that, I need to get this number of leads in, convert at this number, deliver this, then I get paid this. So it's breaking down a big business of recruitment into just a handful of steps. And that's something you've done very well, okay? So that's sort of taking a technical view of your business. And we need to do that every phase we go through. Now, this next jump is where we really sort of separate the person who's excited about automation and all the stuff. Oh, man, automation, I've heard about so-and-so. And the person who's actually, I'm in this to grow a business that I'm either going to sell, or I want to make into a cash machine, or I want to make into a stable model that will be here for the next 10 years. But is now getting this role. Your role changes now, Johnny. And, a project manager is a loose term. For my corporate background, project manager is how I relate to this. But a project manager, i.e., you manage the projects, okay, within your business. So right now, you've been running projects. So a project to build data, a project to run a campaign, a project to speak to a client. These are all mini projects in your business, okay? What we now need to do is move you out of these projects, and someone else needs to move into these projects. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we will talk about what you do, i.e. do we do Nurture Maximizer? Do we do webinars? We'll come to what you actually do tactically, okay, in a second. However, this is the most important thing, how it's managed. And by that, I mean every facet from being on top of the metrics, but also I mean actually managing it. So prime example, which sounds really, really glib, but it's managing a VA team. But if you think about the bigger picture here, Johnny, your business, we're building an asset, okay, Then what we're going to do is we're going to leverage the asset. So for example, if you've got these campaigns, it's the wrong pen, but then we're going to scale. So you've got one asset in place now, which is some base campaigns that work. So it's just one asset. It's not everything. Now we're going to leverage the asset. So that means we might replicate the asset over and over again, i.e. we might run 4 times the campaigns. And what you said just now, which was very interesting, was about you've got too much work on. And also you said another thing, that you stopped over Christmas. We never stop. We never, ever, ever stop. So the worst thing is going to happen, a client's going to come to you and say, can you find ABC? Sorry, we're maxed at the moment. We've got 5 talent partners. I'll schedule a call with you in 90 days. What's that going to do to your positioning? Of course, you do it in a very smart manner, but we never stop. So with LinkedIn, you never stop building that network. So this, where you're at now, you're at this point now between technical, which you've done very, very well, into PM. So this is where we are right now, okay? So we need to do a couple of things here. The first is we want to make sure you keep getting paid. That's the most important thing. Stick close to the money. Where we are now, you're doing some cool things. However, we want to keep getting paid. And even if it's increasing, you're increasing rapidly, but even if you're increasing a modicum each month, with growth, it gives you a sense of we're on the right way. But even going down by 1, 5, 10% a month or a quarter, suddenly we start to get negative and we make rash decisions. So one thing I want you to get to grips with is your KPIs, okay? So with these KPIs, when we set them on the session a couple of months ago, I'm not telling you, you must judge your business at this is obviously high level, by these KPIs. I'm giving you this framework to give you freedom to either use them or create your own. But there's some elements in here that will make it very clear where your business is what direction it's moving in, okay? So if I go through these just quickly with you, Johnny, and then you can give me your views if you know. So first of all, we got a candidate leads per month. So that might mean for you, you might say it's the actual qualified candidate. It might be the amount of inbound candidates you get. So first of all, what's the metric you want to use for candidates per month? Same for clients. So you mentioned you get you've got more business you can handle right now, and you've got X amount of A's in your inbox each day. Yeah. Then also one of the biggest opportunities that, again, I've seen over the years is the B's on the table. The amount of B's in our inbox we don't leverage. So how many client leads, and maybe you do break it down into A's and B's, are we getting per month? So again, we can see this month on month. Next, placements per month. So right now, we're getting 1 per week, so 4 per month. I know it's not linear to 12 months, but how many are you getting per month? You might choose per week. But again, let's see what our metric is for placements. Then revenue. What's our revenue per month? Then in turn, what's our margin? So as we start to grow, our margin is probably going to decrease. But what's our margin? So if we can get these numbers here, this is going to let us see and let you see straight away, are we in a place whereby, yeah, I'm getting paid? Everything's good. If you don't get your management accounts every month, I recommend that you all get your management accounts every month from your accountant or have them created yourself so you can see the business. It's too easy to get lost in revenue, but then it's the cost side of things. It's something that we don't focus on often. So the actual margin is key to the lifeblood of your business, and it's too easy, again, to get lost in revenue, and it's the high-level numbers. But what's the margin? In terms, you might break it down to what your profit is, and again, whatever fits for you. Whatever language you want to use is completely cool. But from a financial point of view, we're entrepreneurs, and then we're paying for our families, house, future, college, etc. This is what allows us to actually breathe easy or panic. And we want to have that reality each month. Does that make sense? Something that we can just see, but you can then see yourself, and then we can see a trend, and you can see a trend. Does that make sense, Johnny?
100%, yes.
So from a strategic point of view, we know we need to get control of our high-level KPIs. We know that the big challenge for you right now is going to be this move from being technician-focused into now being a project manager as such, which is a glib statement. However, it's where we are. It's at that next step now, okay? And that's going to be your control point, your point of failure or your point of success. What happens now? So first thing is, what you've been doing so far needs to keep happening, okay? So have you got a traceability of where your time goes each week? So you could say, each day I spend 30 minutes on that, 27 minutes on that, hour on this, and then chunk it up so you've got a weekly figure for all your activities.
Well, I could guess, but in all honesty, no.
Okay, so we need to get control, complete clarity on where your time is going, okay? So there's a few things going on here that we need to get in place. So if we go back to our about level, where you are right now is you're between the white and red, aren't you? It's where we are right now. And we want to get up to yellow in 90 days, okay? So this way we want to get into 90 days. Now, if you get to that place where we've got 24,000 a month happening in 90 days, now it becomes really exciting in terms of what happens in the rest of the year. So if we go back to what this means for you, what you need to focus on. So when we put together this dashboard, it was meant to give you, usually I'll give you a strategy or a framework to give you freedom. So what that means is you can use this as a roadmap to, for example, create a post or to run a campaign. In this instance, I want you to actually stick to what we detail in here, okay? So if we say do X projects, we do X projects. We don't add projects to them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, fine.
Yep. So if we think about what we've got going on right now, is you've got a process that works, and given the metrics that we're dealing with, i.e. the market size, the conversion figures that we've got, all we need to do is essentially double the operations, okay? But there's really two steps here. The first is, what we need to make sure happens first of all is we can keep doing it. So what this means is it remains consistent. So this means 12K a month, okay? So keep doing it, but without you or less of you. The next is doing 24K a month, but then obviously this is going to be, we're now just starting to scale mode. In fact, scale is the wrong word in this instance. 24K a month, but now we're into a growth phase, okay? So 12K, where you are now, being consistent, but less Johnny. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So step one is, what we're doing now, we need to get you clarity on where your time's going now, which you need to go away and do. But we need to get this process now running more without you. So you're working 25 hours a week. Then between that and the next step is turning that into 24K a month. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep. So what we really need to focus on with your projects at this point is the operational side of things. So what do you think would be the biggest constraint in terms of going from 12K to 24K operationally?
My time.
Yep. So what does that mean?
Well, for argument's sake, if I'm speaking to clients, the benefit of me speaking to clients is I know the industry, and clients have actually commented on how much I know, and they're quite surprised because my background is within further education, and they're quite surprised that they speak to what they think is just some crazy recruiter, and actually I know, like you'll say, they're hot buttons or what have you. I know the problems that they face. And that's the bit that I would struggle a little bit to hand over to somebody else, because they haven't necessarily got that background.
Okay.
Perhaps though, I can spend less time talking to candidates, because that's not quite as important that you impress your candidates, although it is a bit. But
well, here's the
not
thing:
you get
one placement a week. I think you said you're closing 1 out of 2 clients. So if you do 2 placements a week, even if we close 1 out of 2, that means you've got 4 calls a week with a client. So the client side is not the constraint right now. That's not the constraint.
No.
Okay.
But the candidate is.
That's it. So what the focus is now is the candidate side. So the client side isn't the constraint right now. We can move that into the latter part of the year. Okay. So if you told me it was, £1,000 placement and you speak to 10 a week now, different conversation. However, that's not the constraint.
Yeah.
So what we need to do then is we need to look at your time. Okay. Look at your time. And I want you to do what, this comes from Dan Sullivan, not from myself. He calls it a did it sheet. And when I heard it, I thought, what? This is crazy money paying for this. But essentially all it is, you get out of bed and you list what you do throughout the day. And I thought, what on earth is this? However, you'll be amazed at where your time goes. Okay. So I want you to do a did it sheet, and most people will not do it because they think it's just too simple. I was that person too. So I want you to do a did it sheet, and I want you to do it Monday to Friday. So you see where your time, Tuesday to Friday. So you know where your time goes. Do a did it sheet. Secondly, your candidate process as it is now, your candidate process, I want you to literally write out step 1, step 2, step 3. So step 1 might be send an email. Step 2 might be read inbound emails, or whatever it might be, okay? But what is your candidate process? And do that in detail, okay? Okay. So what we need to do in this first phase here, you keep getting paid, so you keep doing what you're doing. But in the next, literally this next week, we want to get that candidate process, and we want to get your activities each week clear, and we want to get those handed over pronto.
Discover how to build your recruitment employment agency using one-to-many automation and inbound strategies before anyone else in your market specialization. Check out recruitmentmarketinginternational.com.